Yeah.
I think, okay, awesome. I'll just try to keep it at this volume. I'm Teresa Whipple. I am the founder and, sorry, I can't say that for MLT News because Dustin DeCoco, who some of you in this room probably know, is the founder of MLT News. And I actually got it from him, acquired it from him a couple of years in about 2011, 2012. But I started out with My Edmonds News, and then Linwood Today came into the mix, and we ended up with this amazing network of community news sites. And we are here tonight because we really strongly believe in the value of engaging our community in the election process because it is so important at the local level to stay involved. So a couple of things I wanted to let you know. There were tickets that were being given out that Molly Luna, who's on our board, who lives in Mountlake Terrace, is giving out to folks. If anybody decides during the conversations they want to ask a question, that's just to kind of make sure we get everybody included in the process. And so if you want to ask a question, just make sure your name on the ticket gets put into the bowl. I know you probably don't need reminders of this, but this is meant to not be a debate. It's meant to be a civil conversation, and we really do want to practice that here. The whole idea of civil discourse is real important to us, and we want to make sure we do that. The format is basically very simple. We'll have three sets of two candidates come up here and talk about a variety of issues that I've identified. There will be time for Q&A after each set of candidates is finished with the discussion part. And after that, they will leave and the next set of candidates will come up. We have a wonderful timer, Claire, who is going to be keeping track of the times for opening and closing statements and also the questions and answers part. And that's just to keep us on track because we have to be out of here by 7:45 when the library closes. So we don't have any wiggle room. We need to be done. So we want to make sure we're efficient. So without further ado, before we get into the actual other candidate section, I wanted to give Steve Woodard, position 2, an opportunity to address you because he is running unopposed. Steve?
Yeah. Thank you and good evening. You're right, you can't tell. You can hear me though, right? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Better? Good evening. Thank you so much for not making there be 4 pairs of debates tonight or conversations tonight. My name is Steve Woodard. As you just heard, I've had the honor of serving on our council for the past 6 years, moving into our 7th year. Thank you deeply from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity to run unopposed again. I take that one as confidence in what our council as a whole is doing, and as I just heard from somebody who I deeply respect, it also means nobody wants my job. Is this all? But I accept that. I have been in with my family, Mountlake Terrace, just over 20 years. We had the honor of buying here in the city center just about 2 decades ago. We raised 2 kids. In fact, I want to be clear, I'm not disrespecting you. This is a shout out to my daughter who now lives in Japan. This is where she went, so I told her I was going to acknowledge that she was here in spirit. But that said, my oldest has made us grandparents. So that's to say that we now are generational here in Mountlake Terrace. I don't think that's me, so somebody should turn that off. Thank you. I don't think that was me.
Was that a minute? Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's even better. So, on that note, bless you all.
And now you know what that noise sounds like, candidates. So when you hear it, that means you're done.
And that goes by so fast.
I know, it does. So I would like to bring the position 1 candidates to the stage, Rick and Sam. Rick Ryan and Sam Doyle, and if you could take seats there, please. The first opening statement is going to go to Sam, so I will pass the mic over to you.
30 seconds or a minute?
1 minute.
This is stressful. The time limit. Holy smokes. Okay, go. Okay. My name is Sam Doyle. I'm running for position 1. I have lived here in Mountlake Terrace since 2012. I came here for affordable housing, like a lot of people did. In my life, I am an oncology nurse practitioner of almost 20 years. I work for the University of Washington at Fred Hutch Cancer Center. I'm also a mom to 3 Edmonds School District students, 1 6th grader, and 2 12th graders. And even though positions are nonpartisan, I don't believe that people are. And I'm really proud to be a Democrat, and I'm proud to be endorsed by Democrats. And it would be an honor to serve you as your council member.
Wow, you did it.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I can hardly hear anything. Yeah, okay, good.
Speak loud.
Okay. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve as your council member for the past 16 years. My wife Judy and I lived in Mountlake Terrace for 33 years. My experience as an educator for the past 34 years and my involvement in the community has enabled me to be a good listener, fully analyze issues, and make decisions to enhance the quality of life in our community. To begin with, I'd like to thank the following people or groups who have endorsed me: Snohomish County Executive Dave Summers, Snohomish County Councilmember Nate Nearing, State Senator Jesse Solomon, State Representatives Cindy Ryu and Lauren Davis, Mountlake Terrace Mayor Matsumoto Wright, Mayor Pro Tem Wall, Councilmembers Sonmore and Page Jr., and the Mountlake Terrace Police Guild. Thank you.
So we're going to get to question one, and this is how this works. I'm going to give you a question. We're going to try for a 30-second quick answer from each of you on the question, and then from there we're going to go into a 4-minute approximately discussion. And the idea is I don't want necessarily for you to just look at me and get answers. I really want to encourage the two of you to kind of figure out as you go along, and I'll guide this, what you agree on, what you disagree on. Maybe one of you thinks the other person has a good idea, and you could actually say that, but you get the idea, I think. All right. So the question for this first round is taxes. Could each of you tackle this topic with a 30-second overview of how residents and businesses are taxed in Mountlake Terrace? Too high, too low, just right. So this is the 30-second answer, starting with Mr. Ryan, and then we'll go to Sam Doyle.
Okay, regarding taxes, there's sales tax, and we are less than Linwood, and we are less than Seattle. So that's really good. We have not talked about raising taxes on the council at all, although we are delving into the budget and looking forward to 2026, where we will have a deficit of 1.3 million.
You can pass it on to her.
Okay, as far as taxes go, I think sales taxes are terribly regressive, and I don't guess we're less than Linwood, but we're more than a lot of the country. And I think the problem is that we don't have a state income tax. So if I had my way, we'd have a state income tax and potentially a city one, because it's a more equitable way of taxation. And then I don't really have an opinion as far as like the business taxes go. Our property taxes are in the middle when you look at all of the local cities. So I think those are reasonable.
Save your bill.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk, and this is going to be a little interesting with us passing the mic back and forth, but I think we can figure it out. So let's talk a little bit more about, one of the things I remember in covering the city council, which I did for several years, is, just a lot of things have gone up in the city. Utility taxes went up a lot in the last few years. Now we're talking about possibly some other things that may need to go up to fund maybe the rec pavilion or other needs that the city has. So if the two of you could talk maybe about how do we, as we look at that as a whole, how do we address the concerns of people who want to be able to, pay their taxes and still remain in their homes, and, property taxes go up and all that. What are some of the ideas? Let's start with Sam, just some ideas you might have about that thought.
So I think similar to what I was saying about sales tax, I would have a look at how equitable our taxation is. Property taxes are not as egregious and regressive as sales taxes are, but you can easily find yourself, especially in the city, in a situation where your home has a high value and your income is low. Some people qualify for tax exemptions because they're seniors or they're disabled, but it's still a regressive way. I think of it as in the middle. It's still a regressive way of taxation. Everyone who's a homeowner, everyone's houses have increased in value. All appreciated, but doesn't mean your income has. So I feel torn when it comes to property taxes. I feel absolutely no when it comes to an increase of sales tax. We don't have a large population. We don't have a large amount of very wealthy people like Seattle. So something like the jumpstart tax or payroll taxes are not as effective in a smaller city.
Right.
So we do have to be creative with how we fund things. With regard to the rec center, I think the key will be doing a metropolitan park district to gather all of the assessed values of the homes in neighboring cities when it comes to a property levy. It's
Okay.
not something that we can pay for ourselves. I don't want to pay for that myself as a homeowner.
Okay,
So
let me get it back so I can get to,
Yeah.
to Councilmember Ryan. And you've been on the council for quite some time and had a lot of these issues come up over time. Talk a little bit more, maybe there were some ideas that Sam had, maybe there were some ideas that you might have, Rick, about how to deal with some of the options for keeping Mountlake Terrace affordable.
Well, for sales tax, as I said, we haven't really talked about raising taxes there. Property taxes normally would go up 1% each year, and that's mainly for emergency, police and fire, although fire now is for our regional fire authority. I moved from Linwood 33 years ago, and the property taxes were a lot less here than in Linwood, so that was really good. And I lived next to the swimming pool, which is even better, because I used to get up and swim before I had to go to work. As far as the pool goes, we're going to have to look at different ways to get a new one, because the building has had it. We have talked about possibly a park authority, but the thing is you have to get neighboring cities that want to join with you. And unfortunately, we do have some cities that are in a deficit right now, and I don't know if they want to join in their citizens wanting to increase their taxes for the pool. So it's something we'll have to work on.
Yeah.
We'll be working with the budget. We did hire someone to work on the budget to see what things we could cut or make better, and what revenues we could get. So we're looking for more revenue to come into our city, especially with our downtown center plan.
Right.
And-
And I just wanted to ask to bring Sam into the conversation too. Yeah, you can hear me. I'm going to talk loud so she can have the mic. What do you think are some of the options for the rec center? I know it is such a beloved thing in Mountlake Terrace, and everybody worries about it. Oh, I guess we aren't going to get to that. Don't worry. Okay. You can talk to people later. After.
deal.
Thank you. All right. Let's go on to the next thing. The next question, let me get my glasses on so I can read it. The council's decision, and we're going to start just so we know who starts next on this one. We'll start with Sam Doyle on this next answer. The council's decision to approve a flock camera system to read license plates in Mountlake Terrace has drawn concerns from the community. In 30 seconds, state whether you support or oppose the flock system and a brief, hold on, this should be intuitive, reason why. And we'll get into more discussion in a moment.
Sure. As a lot of people know, I very much oppose the installation of the flock system. I caught wind of it while I was at a conference in Hawaii and made the first NIM comment. It's a waste of money. It's offensive to our constitutional rights. It puts marginalized people at risk, especially undocumented people. And even when people say, you know, as a law-abiding citizen, people like to say you shouldn't be afraid of that. I still object to it on the basis of privacy. And
Hand it over to him.
There you go.
Thank you.
I supported and do support flock cameras. I base it on research as a council member. I've gone through, I've listened to Linwood City Council on it, Everett City Council on it, and as a member of the council, I went on the recommendation of our Mountlake Terrace Police Chief, our city manager. Also, I received letters and support from the Everett Police Chief and the Marysville Police Chief and Mothers Against Drunk Driving to have flock cameras.
All right, well, it's nice to know we have differing opinions on this issue. So let's talk a little bit more about, Rick, I'm sure you heard the concerns that the community who are worried about tracking and other things. Have you done enough research that you feel comfortable with that idea? Just thought we should have a conversation about that, just to make sure that you are feeling okay with the tracking that people are worried about.
Thank you. Yes, I've read a few articles of flock not following their policies back east, but then I concentrated on Washington State and where we use flock cameras. And I haven't found anything in Washington State for federal agencies or ICE to come in and track people using flock cameras. I've also found that there are 80 cities using this in Washington State, 6 counties, and 3 tribes using flock cameras. And so given all that, I have supported flock.
Okay, let's give Sam a chance to weigh in on that.
Okay. With regard to other cities are using it, to be frank, I don't care that other cities are using it. It's not the right choice for us. So that's nice they're doing it, and they can choose what they want for their city. But if I had the choice for this city, it's not happening here. We are a tiny little postage stamp of a city. We're 4 square miles. We don't need a tool like that. And although council members have said there are advantages, you could use it for amber alerts and silver alerts, sure, but at what cost? It's not worth our privacy. It's not worth our 4th Amendment to let us be tracked. And we know that flock is data sharing with Homeland Security. We already know this. The council didn't know that when they said yes, but we all know this and it's in the news. It's only a matter of time. Stanwood's already involved in a lawsuit regarding whether the images are public records. So they've paused their systems. It's not an honest company. It's a for-profit surveillance company, and installing that at a time when we have an authoritarian government is a recipe for disaster.
All right. Any more you want to say on that? I think we might have a few seconds.
I did. Now I can't.
Oh, yay.
Oh,
Keep talking.
now I can't remember what I was going to say.
Sorry about that.
Flock cameras aren't just for stolen vehicles, amber alerts, silver alerts, but they're for people that use a car in a burglary or a robbery, such as in Everett, where there is a dispute and 2 people were found dead. And luckily, with the flock cameras, they were able to get the person that killed these people within 10 minutes. So that's what I really like. So it's going to be a tool for us to catch these people that are coming into our city, like down on 220th and stabbing 2 clerks at the Shell station. Things like that. If they take off in a car, we get they get the license number, and then we can track them and find the criminals that are bothering us here in Mountlake Terrace.
Okay. I want to give this mic back to Sam, but I also wanted to ask a question about, I know some discussion has been had about some oversight that the city could have to try to prevent misuse. And so I don't know if that would be included in what you want to talk about, but that might be an interesting thought.
The Community Policing Advisory Board, it's a great idea, completely separate from flock. If flock goes forward, the city of Seattle does have they have like a surveillance oversight committee, which is similar to Community Policing Advisory Board. I think the advisory board is a great idea, even if and when flock doesn't happen. So it's a nice idea, but if you have to install that in the first place, then I think you have a problem with the system you just chose to install.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate that discussion with both of you. That was good. All right. Okay, this is the last of the 3 questions that I have for each of you. Again, we're going to start with 30 seconds. Provide an overview of your strategy as a city council member to engage Mountlake Terrace residents, especially those who are traditionally underserved. And we'll get into more detail about your ideas with the discussion that follows. And I'll start with Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Well, to keep everyone engaged, we have a website. We have it in a couple different languages. We do quarterly newsletters that come out to the public. And we invite the public to come to our meetings about perhaps like the Ballinger Park. What would you like to see in the Ballinger Park? So we had a community, they all got together, and is that it?
That's it.
Okay, next.
Okay, so I think to increase engagement, the website needs to be redone, in my personal opinion. It's pretty rustic and outdated. The city uses Facebook. Ultimately, we all know that Facebook is for people like me who were maybe born before 1980. My kids are not going to be found dead on Facebook. The Instagram presence is weaker than Facebook, and actually it's in one of the city reports to tell you exactly how many posts they do per year. So the Instagram could be better, as TikTok could be better as well. And then I think part of it is you can't wait for residents to come to you. You need to go to the residents. You can't sit in council chambers or wherever and hope they'll come to you. So go out and meet with people.
Okay, hang on to the microphone and I'm going to let you two share, and I'm just going to speak loudly. This is much easier. So this is a discussion that I think every city I know has. Nobody, people don't come. I'm so glad you're all here because it restores my faith in public engagement, because sometimes you go to a meeting and nobody's here, right? It's like, where did they all go? Why aren't they here? So how do you, and then there's the issue of the people who just don't have time. They're working 3 jobs. They, have kids they have to help with homework and all of that. And so everybody wonders, what is a better way of engaging the community? So if you were, just starting back with you again, and then we'll go to you, Mr. Ryan. If you were to come up with a bright idea for what would be the first thing you would do to engage the community?
Well, it's a hard question. I think the first thing I would do would be social media, and it would be finding someone who's very skilled at TikTok and Instagram. I can't stand TikTok because I'm too old for it, but that is how we're going to reach a lot of people, and it's how we would reach especially younger voters. Because people who do tend to show up are older. There's probably nobody 20 years old in here, for example. So that's how we'll reach people. More mailings is also great. And then going and seeing people. But I would actually start with social media, because even if you're busy with 3 jobs, you probably have a social media account.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
Well, one thing the council does is we do Zoom, and the Zoom is archived. So if anyone hears of anything or would like to watch the council, and they don't have to come out of their home, and they don't have to participate, they can just watch the council on Zoom if they want. And if they heard of something, a hot topic like Flock, they could go back. We archive them. You just click the button and you can watch it and get to the section you want. So that's really important there. Other thing is to be accessible to the community. I go out and I shop at QFC. I know a lot of people here do. So I make sure I talk to a lot of people about the city and ask them questions. I work the cheese aisle. When I'm getting my cheese, I ask them questions in the cheese aisle, the bacon aisle, the milk aisle, and the produce area. So that's what I do, and ask them questions. And I try to be friendly and
I want to know
warm.
if she can top that.
Okay, all right, it's on. I am an introvert. I don't work any grocery stores. I go and then I run home as fast as I can. But I have been enjoying the new grocery outlet, but I'm not working the cheese aisle, so point goes to Mr. Ryan.
Okay. Any other bright ideas in either of you has for getting out there and besides cheese and bacon aisles to really bring folks in?
I think it's persistence. I think a lot of it is persistence, and you invite people again and again. And if something doesn't work, you try something else. And snacks. People like snacks. I've had listening circles here in the library, and people like snacks.
I know, and I
it
failed. I
works.
did not bring snacks tonight. I'm sorry.
Cheese and bacon.
Cheese and bacon. Anything else? We don't have to fill up the time if we've talked it all.
Got 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Wow.
No pressure.
It's a lot of bacon.
Yeah.
I like crackers.
I think our DEI commission has done a great job of going out and getting people that might be afraid to come in, even walk into City Hall, and kind of get them to come and maybe do a celebration in City Hall and get them familiar with City Hall and even just stepping in City Hall. Because sometimes people are a little bit afraid of going places they haven't been before. And I think that has helped the community a lot here.
Great, thank you. Well, we just breezed through those 3 questions, and now we are ready to take questions from the audience. So here's how this is going to work. I hold the microphone, you ask the questions. I'm going to keep the microphone, mainly because we only have 1 microphone, but also because then I have control of the microphone. So you are each going to, Molly is bringing the bowl. I'm going to draw a name, and then I'm going to come to you, and you can ask a question of either one candidate or both candidates. And I need to look at my cheat sheet here for the time. You have 15 seconds to ask a question. And then, am I getting this right, Claire?
No, it's 30.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on track.
Candidates each have 1
Yeah,
minute.
30 seconds to ask a question, but I'm sure you could do it in quicker. And 1 minute each for you to answer, okay? So this is the first, oh, I need glasses. Hold on. Just a moment here. The first question goes to Mary Lose. Mary? Mary?
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm bringing the mic to you.
Mr. Ryan, I noticed that you mentioned multiple police departments as indicators that maybe persuaded you to be in favor of the flock. Were there any other groups in those city councils that gave you other information or other opinions other than the police department people?
Well, I did have citizens that emailed me against it and emailed me for it, and it was tied. It's 50-50. And then our mayor spoke to 50 people, and they all wanted it. And then I talked to 20 people, and they all wanted it. Now, as far as other organizations, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving wanted it.
I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. I was asking about the Everett and Linwood and other cities. You said you spoke with their police departments and that they were I think that's what you said. They were in favor of it.
Yes.
That's what I was
Yes, they're using it, and they sent me a letter recommending that we choose Flock and gave us some ideas how it's helped their city.
And if I heard your question correctly, what you were asking was if there were any other folks in the cities that Mr. Ryan spoke to that may have had some concerns about it? Is that kind of what or other
Same
thoughts?
opinion, other-
Concerns may not be the right
Was
word.
it exclusively
Yeah,
police department?
yeah. Did you just talk to the police department or did you talk to others?
I listened to the Linwood council for an hour and a half on it. And then I listened to the Everett Council for an hour and a half on it and did some other research. As far as how to monitor it also, they have portals. You can click Everett and it'll tell you every month what they've been doing with Flock cameras.
Thank you. You had a double on that one, but we needed
Oh.
to clarify, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so we've got another question, and that was just for you, so you get a pass on this one, but we'll see what happens next. Unless you wanted to add anything, which you're welcome to do.
Can I add something?
You may.
Okay. I wanted to add, so our police department presented to the council 2 or 3 meetings ago about the first and second quarter crime statistics for the city. Our actual like auto thefts have actually decreased when you compare Q1 2024, 2025, and Q2. I feel like on the council there, some members of the council seem to think this is a very dangerous city and that we have a big crime problem, and I don't think we do. Do we have crime? Of course we have crime. We're a bunch of strangers trying to live together in a small space with different values and different priorities. But our auto thefts are down, so there's no justification for the purchase of flock in the city at all.
Thank you. All right, we're on to the next question, and it's Wilma Shirky? Shikey, sorry about that. Where are you?
Right here.
Oh.
I'll come to you.
Only in the middle.
My question is concerning the pavilion. The pavilion is much more than just the pool. I've been a lax member for 50 years, so it's near and dear to my heart. What would you do differently on the council? Because I feel the council often is reactive to problems, and we're like 10 years behind on when this should have been started. So what would you do differently to get funding figured out and get this thing moving along?
Thank you very much. I think we'll start with Sam Doyle on this answer.
Great question. And I've been thinking about this recently, and I've been thinking about, I know the rec center is so much more than just physical fitness. To me, the rec center, it's public safety. It's teaching people how to swim, especially children how to swim. It's, in my ideal world, it's giving teenagers like mine a place to be after school and in the evenings. It's a social space for people, which is good for everyone's mental health, seniors, lots of examples of why it's A, recreation, but B, it's actually a public safety issue for us as well. I would love to see us work with other cities because, like I was saying, we don't have enough assessed value. If you add up the value of all of our homes together, that property levy would be about $40 per month. That's a lot. I don't want to pay it, and I don't think a lot of other people want to pay it. So the bigger we can get the pool, figuratively, and add assessed values of other cities, our price goes down. Okay, it would still be in our city. You could have a resident and non-resident price, which is fair. But in this case, it'd be resident. Mean, did you, as a city resident, pay into it? But it would take the cost down, depending on the number of homes included in the assessed value, to even less than $1 per month, compared to $40 if we want to do it ourselves. We can't do it ourselves. I wish we could. We can't do it.
Thank you. All yours.
Oh, thank you. Back in around 09, 2010 there, we did put together a task force to analyze the aging facilities in Mountlake Terrace. And one of them was the pavilion. And we did analyze what to do with the pavilion, which was build a new one, because the building's just falling apart. And we even talked about where we'd build it and what kind of building it would be. But it was just very too cost prohibitive. And during that time, the ceiling fell down in City Hall, and we had to rent a place. So money went from there, distractions. We had the recession, 2008. So things just kept going behind it, and we couldn't keep up with it. So that's why it's been too long for us to talk about the pavilion.
Thank you very much. The next person to ask a question is Sophia E.
I'll pass out this time. My questions.
Is for, you want to wait for later? I'll
yes,
put you back in the bowl. Start with somebody else. Here we go. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. You don't know which section you're going to end up in, so we're good to accommodate that. Sarah JC, did I read that right, or did I?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Okay.
And I can talk a lot enough, I think. This is what I wanted. My question is for both of the candidates. In learning a little bit about endorsements, that's something I'm learning what those mean and what that is. So I'm wondering, you mentioned a bit, Ms. Moran, about your endorsements, but I wonder if you could each tell us who are you endorsed by, and was there a process to get those endorsements? What was that process, if you can abbreviate that, and or did you just ask for them? If you each give us sort of a list in the process.
Thank you. We'll start with Rick Ryan on this one.
Well, how endorsements work is you develop a relationship with other council members and county council members, and they come like the state senators and state representatives will come and speak to us about certain issues, and when we talk to them, we build a relationship with them. Now, if they want to support something and I say, no, I don't support you, then we don't build a really good relationship unless I'm supporting most of what they like. So it's personal relationships. We also have meetings with the Snohomish County where we get together about every 3 months, and all the mayors and the council members and then anybody else that can attend does, and we talk about certain issues and get to know each other personally. So that's how then the endorsement goes. I'm sorry, I didn't give you the list again.
You can tell her later. We're done.
Okay, I'll tell you
Thank
later.
you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. First of all, I am obviously new to all of this. So I see endorsements by organizations or people as an expression of shared values and shared vision. That's what they are. It's not whether you like me or not. It's whether we have the same vision for like our city and our world. So that has informed where I've gone to get endorsements. I'm currently endorsed, I told you, by the Snohomish County Democrats, also the 32nd LD, our council members Woodard and Murray, Planned Parenthood Alliance Advocates, the Alliance for Gun Responsibility Victory Fund, the LGBTQ plus Victory Fund, and our Sheriff Susanna Johnson. I have more endorsements than that, and they're on my website. All of them involved personal conversation, some personal relationship. I know Mr. Woodard and Ms. Murray, and mostly it's been an interview. A lot of them are group interviews. It's a very long questionnaire or like short answer essay, and then if they like your answers, they invite you to interview. It's stressful. It's often 4, 5, 6, 7 people at one time, and then they vote whether to endorse you.
Thank you. I'm learning new things tonight. I didn't know how that worked. So the last of this section question goes to Michael Jones.
Thank you both for coming tonight. One of the main things, first going back to the cameras, I'm on that 50% that supports it, so thanks to the council. But as stewards of our tax dollars, and I thought I heard, I don't know, one of you two have mentioned maybe looking at increasing taxes. I'm vehemently against that. I pay enough property tax right now. And unfortunately, I don't do a lot of shopping in Mountlake Terrace because we don't have any real shopping.
You need to.
Okay, my question is, how are you going to be stewards with our tax dollars that you get if we're running in a deficit in a year or 2 years? Thanks.
All right, Sam Doyle.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. What do we do with the money that we all pay? In a situation where we have limited dollars, which honestly is always a situation, it's just a bit more dire right now. I look at people's basic needs and support policies and funding that benefits the most people. So that's how I would decide, is what benefits the most people here. Lots of things are important here, right? Our rec center is important, our streets are important, but would I choose, terrible example, sorry, the art show over the rec center? No. I'm thinking like basic needs. That's how I would prioritize. And I also think we need to be more creative in how we get revenue. It's just not a matter of getting more and more money. It's a matter of how we get the money and an equitable way of getting that money. And understanding that taxes is a very broad category. There are lots of different kinds of taxes, and there are more regressive and there are more progressive ways of getting taxes from city residents.
Good time. Our priority would be to have public safety would receive the money and our utilities, because we do have an aging infrastructure where the pipes are breaking, and then as we did happen on the county line, an area in the parking strip where it collapsed down a couple stories. We knew that we had a problem. So we have to put our money into that first.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, we are now to the closing statement portion. Thank you very much for being so efficient with all of your answers. We will start with Rick Ryan. And you have 30 seconds, and that goes fast.
Yes. Thank you. Serving on the council for 16 years has been an honor, and together we've made real progress for Mountlake Terrace. But there's more to do, from replacing aging infrastructure to supporting small businesses, continuing downtown revitalization, and keeping our community safe. If reelected, I will continue to work on your behalf to ensure that Mountlake Terrace remains a safe, attractive, and vibrant community in which to live and raise a family. I ask for your vote.
Thank you. You can give the mic over.
I understand, so I can see all of you. It would be an absolute honor to be your council member. I'm a public servant, and I want to do more than what I do with my patients right now. I am brave. I will stand up in front of people. I will question the council at public meetings, and I would do that on your behalf. I'm responsive. If you email me, I get back to you. I've got good ideas. I'm a critical thinker, and I live here. I live here with my children, just like you do. And it would be an honor to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for So now we are talking to position 3 candidates, and I'm going to start with opening statement, 1 minute, and we'll start with Danny Loma.
Good evening, I'm Danny Loma. I'm proud to be running for position 3 in the Mountlake Terrace City Council. I have lived here for over a decade. I have a young daughter that just started kindergarten at the Terrace Park Elementary, so I put down roots here. We plan to be here for a long time. And I would like to be part of the City Council and be part of the solution moving us forward. I am currently a member of the Fiscal Sustainability Task Force, so it's been some insight into the rising costs and the declining revenues that the city is facing from this standpoint. I do give credit to the current council on putting the Fiscal Sustainability Task Force in place and having the foresight to go after that. In my professional life, I'm an engineering leader. I spend my days solving complex problems, digging through data, building consensus among diverse groups across the globe, and making sure that I can work with people on finding solutions to go forward. And that's what I would like to bring to the City Council going forward. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Well, good evening. I'm William Page, and I am currently a City Council member. And just a quick introduction of who I am, I'll just tell you what's important to me. And what's important to me right now is my family. You know, my wife Ellen, who's a member of the Fiscal Sustainability Task Force, as well as the the Parks Commission. Our 6 children. We got 3 boys and 3 girls, and I kind of look at us as a modern day Brady Bunch family. They don't live with us, and our 9 grandchildren. You know, 2 of which were just here, and they just left this morning. They headed to New England. They're going to come back for a week, and then they're heading home to Japan. And then our great granddaughter. The other thing that's important to me is the community, and you know, we've shown that the community is important to us. You know, when we started the holiday shed, which many of you know as the Christmas shed. You know, we started that in 2020, and we did that because we wanted to connect the city and we wanted to help the city. You know, we just announced a few weeks ago that the holiday shed is going to set up again our 6th consecutive year, and that's why this is important to us, because we're helping the city be connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to start with, you know the drill. We're going to have a question, have a quick 30-second first answer, and then we have a conversation. And I really do encourage the 2 of you to, you know, talk to each other, not just talk to me if you want to. It would be nice to kind of see if there are things you maybe agree on or have ideas you can discuss with each other. So this particular question, surrounding cities, including Edmonds and Linwood, are facing budget shortfalls that have been in the news lately. In 30 seconds, describe your top priority as a council member for ensuring Mountlake Terrace's financial health. I know it's going to take more than 30 seconds to dive into this question, but this is the start. And we'll get into more details in a moment, and we will start with Mr. Page.
Well, thank you. I think that for me, what we have to do is, I think I can say it in 30 seconds, 4 things. 1, we have to let the Fiscal Sustainability Task Force do the job that we appointed them to do in April, so that they can bring that information to us of how we need to look at things. Two, we need to engage our community, because anything that we decide to do, we have to put it by you all, and it can't be a small group of people. We have to find a way to be able to engage more people so that we can get that information. Third, we need to make sure that the city council works together, that we talk together and be able to get this thing together. And lastly, we need to make good non-political decisions on how we need to get this thing done.
Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Are we okay? Okay. I would agree with you on the nonpartisan decisions. We need to make things that are not political, work together as a city. If I'm elected to the council, same thing, to work with the people that are on the council. I also agree transparency is a great thing. People need to know what is happening. I see a lot of times when things show up on the ballot, if there's a vote on something, here's the way it's listed, and it's often confusing on what you're actually voting for. And I think having a nice way to put it out there so people actually understand what's happening, what is happening with the budget, here are the solutions we're going for, is a big thing. And the other thing to be transparent about is what's causing us to be in this situation. What's happening in Linwood, what's happening to Edmonds, and how does it affect us directly in Mountlake Terrace?
Good answers. I think to follow up on that, the one thing that I hear from people most often is just, you talked about transparency, and I think part of it is budget issues tend to get over people's heads until they realize it's going to impact their bottom line, right? So how do you engage people earlier in the process to get them to really realize that there are some things that need to be decided? Just either you have ideas about that?
Good.
So clarification question.
Yeah.
How do we make the community know ahead of time that there's something happening
well,
in the budget?
just how do you bring the community along as you're talking? So you have a group that's meeting, you're going to make recommendations, but how do you make sure the community is aware that this is an issue and get them involved earlier so they don't get surprised at the end?
I think, again, kudos to the current council on what they've done. The budgets are available online. They're transparent about where the money is, where it's going. I think a lot of times it just gets lost in translation. People don't understand necessarily what the numbers mean. The numbers are there. The county has a website that will break things down so you can kind of filter and look through the data at different points and pivot on the data and see things, and that helps. But I would say having that out there, making sure there's advocacy groups out there, the Fiscal Sustainability Committee, and making sure that there's community talks, talking about here are the solutions, here are the trade-offs, and giving people, a say in what happens versus dictating this is what's going to come down, this is how we solve the problem. I think early on, again, the council has the stuff, it's just communication, getting it out there in front of the public.
Yeah. Mr. Page, do you have ideas?
Yeah, and I think probably to add on to that is we have to make sure that people understand whether it's dire or if it's good. I think sometimes we sugarcoat things too much, and we don't. I'll take the pavilion for example. A lot of people don't know that the pavilion, you can't replace the parts. A lot of people don't know that we can't get the stuff on eBay anymore. So we have to be able to make sure that in those little ways that people will listen, because we all have our own way of listening to things, that we need to make sure that that's the mechanism that we need. And I was sitting there thinking while you was talking, half the people in here I've seen at meetings. So maybe if we really want to get others engaged, that person that never comes to meetings or never have those conversations outside of this, that's who you talk to about what you hear, because you're here. So that can just keep growing, where it just doesn't get stuck in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? We can't have just the 400 people filling out a survey. We need 4,000 plus, and they need to tell each other that they filled it out so that others can do it. That's how you engage, the community, I think.
Yeah, and following up on that from the earlier conversation we had with the other council members, it comes back to community engagement, right? I mean, let's go there. Each of you has maybe an idea for something that a better way of engaging the community that maybe the city hasn't tried. Do you?
Yes, so network effect is what I was thinking while you were talking. It's you talk to somebody, as long as it doesn't get lost in the telephone game where the message is wrong by the time it goes 5 parts down. The one thing that I've thought about from an engagement standpoint is, again, it was mentioned earlier, we have newsletters, there's a city website, there is some usage on Facebook, TikTok, other things like that. But back in May, they approved a safety app for streetlight outages and potholes and doing that kind of stuff. And I guess I would like to see that expand a little bit more and be a Mountlake Terrace app. Like, could we have something that, like, you know, as far as even taking that app and putting a simple, here's a calendar on it, here's some news, so that people that want to be involved don't have to check Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, I don't know, whatever else everybody is using. My daughter's not old enough yet to get me into those type of things. But that's what I would like to see, is some engagement from an app standpoint and meeting people where they're at.
Okay.
You know, the other thing, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the DEI commission. When I was on the DEI commission,
We'll give you an extra
okay,
15 seconds.
what we did was, you know, we talked about you know, having those community conversations, which we have in place now. And one of the things that I always thought of was, you know, the community ambassadors. I didn't know how you do it in government, but when I worked for 35 years at UPS, you know, with the Teamsters, I would always go find those spirit influencers that you could gather to help, you know, send the message out and bring people together so that they could listen to you and that you could listen to them. So that's how I would do the community engagement.
Wonderful. Great ideas from both of you. Thank you. All right, we're on to the next question. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm in the right spot. We're gonna again start with the 30 seconds and then move on to a broader discussion. The question is, accommodating growth while maintaining affordability is a balancing act for cities. Could you briefly describe in 30 seconds one idea you have for doing that? Again, for accommodating growth while maintaining affordability. And we'll get into more discussion in a moment. And I think we go with Mr. Loma first.
Maintaining affordability by accommodating growth. I think, so right now, the average home price in Mountlake Terrace is over $700,000. So you would need a annual salary of $175,000 to afford a home here. I think, you know, earlier where you're 4 square miles, we're not getting any extra space. I think single family homes at this point, it's very tough to think that they're going to come down and be affordable. I think the vision plan that Mountlake Terrace has put in place for 2044, making a denser downtown area gets us more residents, gets us more people, brings the rent prices down, brings more businesses, and then allows the outer communities to stay single family homes.
Thanks.
Were you listening to my?
I was looking at your stuff.
Apparently.
Just restate it.
Well, I think, you know, in addition to that, what we have to do is and what the city is doing is putting together plans, putting together ideas that will attract, you know, builders and developers, you know, that can do construction, you know, and still make a profit, but put together construction at lower prices. We have to talk to architects, you know, the designers, so that they can design those things that the developers want and that we want, that we can use, and at the same time have that growth that we know we're going to have coming at us.
Okay, hang on to the mic between the two of you, and let's just talk a little bit more about, let's flesh out some of those ideas. I mean, you know, obviously there's been a lot of multifamily being developed here because of light rail. There's just more growth here, but yet it may not necessarily be quote unquote affordable. So you were coming up with some good ideas, but are there some other things we could be doing to make that more of a vision, of that vision a reality?
Well, obviously the density, you know, the buildings with the density, but what I really, I hate using the word affordable, because I think there has to be options. You know, there are different groups of people that want to live in Mountlake Terrace. There are those, you know, at one end of the scale and those all the way through to the next end of the scale. And so we have to have, I guess if we want to use the word affordable options, because affordable means something different to everybody else. And then that's where we have the different residential districts that we can maintain, sustain, and be able to change a little bit so that everything looks copacetic together and not look far out of fetch. We got our res 1s, 2s, 3, and 4s, and we just got to make sure that, you know, we don't lose sight of what this city is, while at the same time understanding that there are a lot of people that want to move into this city that don't necessarily want the big house, the single home. They want apartments. I've talked to a lot of people while doorbelling over the last 30 days that are fine where they live, you know, moving into these apartments, you know, and what they're paying for them, and then others that wish that something was different. So we have to have these options for everybody available when they come looking to come to the city.
Okay, thank you.
You looking at my notes there?
I did. I'm sorry, man. Shouldn't have put them down.
For me, I think it starts with understanding where we're at now. And when I think, yeah, affordable housing, getting more developers here, bringing things in, making sure that we have more housing being built. It's figuring out why we have empty lots now. Like, what what's the percentage of houses that have been bought by developers over the last how many years that are sitting empty? I know even on between my house and City Hall, when I drive down for a council meeting, there are a number of houses that have been sitting there that have been empty for years. And you know, when we talk about affordable housing, those just sit there. That's not really helping anybody. Nobody's living in there. Nobody's moving. They're not developing on things like that. And I think engaging the developer community, finding out what's the holdup, is it the current economic environment, is it tax rates, tariffs, is it things within the city's control, streamlining the permitting process or finding some other way to do it is the way to figure out at least what's our starting point, what's our path forward.
Great. Yeah,
Well,
we still
your
got
time?
some time. Hasn't gone up yet. 1 minute, 20.
The city, and since I've been on the council this short period of time, Chrissy Osborne has done some remarkable presentations. And, one of the first things she obviously had to do is change some of the codes to fit the mandates of the state. That's actually say out of our control. But at the same time, we're putting together different ideas as how do we attract, streamlining. You talked about permitting, a lot of things have changed in City Hall to allow, like the master builders to want to come. But, there's other things that they have to consider, like the infrastructure. It's an old infrastructure. Who wants to pay for fixing some of that, those sort of things. So there's a lot of, I think, like give and take that's going on. But at her last presentation, one of the heads of the master builders applauded her for the effort that this city is doing to be able to attract the builders to come here and build, if you want to call them affordable homes. Okay?
Anything more?
I'm good.
Good? All right, okay. Well, we're going to move on to the next question, and I am going to change this up a little bit because the truth is I was going to ask you about ways to better engage Mountlake Terrace community members, but we kind of talked about that a little bit in the budget discussion. So because I know a lot of people in this audience seem to be really interested in the flock cameras, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you to talk a little bit about flock cameras and what your positions might be on that and what you've come down on. And I know that, Councilmember Page, you were on the council to talk about that, and Mr. Loma, you may have some opinions, but I'm going to start with Mr. Page.
All right, thank you. I first heard about Flock on March 27th when the council was having their getaway or whatever, and a red flag went up, so I started doing some digging. I obviously wasn't a member of the council, but I just wanted to get some understanding with it. And so I did a lot of digging, and what I found was that, some of the abuses at the time, were third parties. I come from a background of law enforcement, my friends, family, all in law enforcement. I'm a believer that anytime, we'll get back to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you this was the 30-second part. My bad. Sorry, put a pin in it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is it starting? We're good? 30 seconds. Okay, the flock to me is very interesting. It's obviously controversial. It's been a big thing in the city. This is not me trying to capitalize on a situation. I would have upfront voted no on this. And the reason that I would have voted no on it is I didn't like their auditing from a tech perspective, and I did not like the way that they talked about governance of data and who owned the data. Now, there's public safety concerns. People talk about whether or not we feel safe. I mean, everybody's got a different opinion there. For me, it was the fact that when you go to these audit websites to look at what has happened, people put any text they want in there, and they claimed it was a case ID, but nothing is needed to actually look at the cameras.
Okay, please continue.
Well, bottom line was that I did vote for Flock in the beginning, because I believe that our police department, or any police department, anytime that they got an opportunity to allow them to take care of a crime, do it safely and protecting the public, do it efficiently and do it quicker than they normally could, then that's a good deal. I also thought that we could get the third party out of it, and then at the same time, the advisory board, I'm the one that brought it up on June 5th, that we have some processes in place. Since that time, I found out on June, while we were having this discussion on June 5th, that Flock was already in conversation, had already started up a process with the one group that we said we did not want to have Flock involvement with in our city at all, or period, with the company, and that was with Homeland Security, ICE. I felt like we were misled. I felt like they weren't transparent. I felt like they were dishonest. They proved to me that they were dishonest, and I no longer feel, it's not the system. It's not the process, it's not the mechanism, it's the company. You know, I know in my heart, I feel in my heart that they don't care about Mountlake Terrace or any of the other cities that is also taken aback and realizing that they weren't treated fairly or spoken to fairly. It was just a business deal. And so I don't want to do business with them. And I can't, and I don't think anybody in this room would, if you was doing business with somebody and you found out that they lied to you or held something back from you, and then you wouldn't, and you signed a contract, and then afterwards you found out that it wasn't true, you'd want your money back. That's all I'm saying. I want my money back. I know we ain't gonna get it back, but I don't want to do business with them.
It's probably a pretty poor move politically, but like, I respected you back in May when this originally came up. There was a lot of questions about process. How do we do this? Do we have it documented? And you did your due diligence up front. I didn't think you were going to vote yes for it. But again, I would commend you at this point for having the courage to walk that back and making the statement you just made, right? Like you realized that there was a mistake made on your part. You wanted to change that, and it's refreshing to see that come up. I would say from my point at this standpoint, I see somebody in the audience here that suggested the other day a vote. And I think that's a fantastic idea, because the thing is, it's polarizing at this point to the point where the loudest voices on both sides are coming out about it. Either we absolutely need safety or we don't need safety. And it's very hard to tell how the rest of the Mountlake Terrace residents feel about this. I mean, there's 20,000 people that live here, I believe 14,000 voting residents. And I've heard from maybe 20. Like, granted, nobody's calling me and giving me their opinion on absolutely everything, but I would like to know how the rest of the community feels about this.
And I agree. You know, I know I've gotten lots of letters. You know, we've had like constant every week, you know, so the opponents of Flock. But, you know, to your point, you know, we have to have more people involved, period. You know, community engagement is all I ever wanted to do when I got involved in this thing 5 years ago. I wanted the city to connect. I didn't see that connection. And this is one of those things where we need involvement, you know, so at least so that the voices on both sides are heard and understood. And we don't, and it's not political. It's not political. You know, this is just real down and dirty. Is this good? Is it bad? And what other stuff is going on that's messing things up? You know, we know now that they're going to use, you know, ICE and everybody else to do those things that we said we hoped wouldn't happen. So the information's got to be clear, it's got to be concise, and we got to get it out there. And then people who are for it got to do more than just say, well, you know, they found a car, you know, and I know I'm belittling it, but they got to do more than that. All right.
All right, we're on to the next set of Q&A. Thank you for doing such a wonderful job. This is, hold on, I have to put the glasses on. Steve Carberry.
As someone who deliberately spends more social time in Edmonds than in Mountlake Terrace because of its walkable, very easily socialized city centre, I would love to see the same thing happen here. There's no need for cars in city centres. From an environmental sustainability point of view, from a financial sustainability point of view, that's my opinion. I'm curious about both candidates, your opinion on that, on a walkable pedestrianised city centre.
That's a great question. Start with you.
What, 30 seconds time?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Oh, God, lots of time. Absolutely. I would love to have a walkable city center. We're by the light rail, Van Rye, there's been a bunch of development there, and they have what's closest to a walkable city center that I've seen here in Mountlake Terrace. I live closer to town center, down by St. Pius Church, and selfishly, I would like it to be closer. So the old Rogers lot, I would like buildings to go up, I would like to attract businesses. I would like, the Vision 2044 has corner stores underneath the apartment buildings. My brother lived in the U District for many years. I lived in Lake City. that was what I loved. I loved being able to walk out, get groceries, and not use the car. I still use it because it's a way to get to the mountains and get out of the city once in a while, but I love the idea of going out for a night down the town. And right now, there are great local businesses that deserve the support of everybody here, but it would be nice to have some more options so I didn't have to eat the same meal, you know, every weekend when I just...
And I agree, you know, this, you know, I think the first strategy, you know, 4-year strategy, and I'm going to ad-lib a little bit, talks about having a vibrant, dynamic city with an equitable lens. And what that looks like is exactly what you described, you know, where we have opportunities where people are able to walk through the city. We have buildings that got businesses underneath. You know, we have, you know, different shops and restaurants, hopefully maybe a new dry cleaner. You know, we just approved, I think, 2 weeks ago, the traffic plan, you know, with our traffic engineer. We just approved it, you know, the council did, where we're going to make it easier and better walkable for pedestrians, for bicyclists. I think we've got like 6 to 10 streets, areas where we're going to do the changes that we need to do exactly what you want us to do. And as we're doing that, obviously we're doing it so to go along with our comprehensive plan. Okay, so great question.
Laura? I'm sorry, I'm not quite getting the last part.
Oh, that's me.
All right.
Thanks. Hi, I was wondering, in this day and age, I don't think it's okay just to be not political because of everything that's going on
Can't
in
hear
the federal government.
Yeah, speak up a little bit if you could.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, we have an authoritarian government right now, and a lot of people are at risk and not safe, especially immigrant communities now. So I'm wondering how you guys plan to keep our vulnerable immigrant communities safe and wise, and what your opinion is on Asians masking things.
I'm kind of...
What?
Did you get that question?
I don't know if I heard everything that you said, you know, but I think that, you know, we have a responsibility as a government to protect every resident in this city, okay? I didn't say citizen. I said every resident in this city. We have an obligation to that. I'm a minority, you know, so I know what they feel like. You know, a lot of these things that are going on, you know, I've lived through in different cities in North Carolina and in Boston, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm in full agreement that we need to do that. You said something about masking, you know, I know that our police is going to follow the letter of the law. If it's not illegal for them to be masked, then I don't think that they can make them unmasked. I know that in several cities right now, there are lawsuits, I believe, where they're trying to, you know, get the courts to get them unmasked. And I think that if that happens, we'll be fine. I know that our Attorney General will be right there with them to make sure that not just Mountlake Terrace, but the entire state will follow suit and do whatever they need to do. Okay.
Boy, so I think from this standpoint, you're right. There is a lot going on at a federal level. And I think the original talk of this was criminals. We need criminals off the street. We need this. It's obviously expanded well beyond that. And I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of, great, fine, somebody has a criminal record, things are happening. I mean, resident, non-resident, whatever it happens to be, like, we need to treat criminals. We need a good justice system. We need people to feel safe in the community. What's happening now, I don't believe, is that it's going a bit beyond that. The masking, I don't agree with. I have a very hard time with the masking simply from a standpoint of, you read these stories of people being grabbed off the streets, and for me, it's how do you know that the person that's taking somebody off the street is an officer of the law? I mean, it's a very scary situation to think that somebody could be grabbed, thrown into an unmarked van, and hauled away when you don't know who's taking them, right? Like, why aren't nobody stopping them, nobody stepping up? And it's just, it's very weird having people with masks without identification grab people on the streets. It feels unsafe.
Thank you. I drew Sophia E. I know you didn't have a question last time, or do you want to ask a question this time?
I'll pass this time.
Okay, very good. I've got a backup. And the backup is George Stanton.
Thank you. So as a city council member, your job is to represent the people. We all know that public comment is far from dialogue. Take Flock, for example. It worries me that some city council members have spoken to 20 or 50 people and only heard one point of view, particularly when we know from public records requests that it was 2-1 against the Flock system. I'm wondering, for both candidates, what have you done over the course of this campaign to understand the priorities of the people and get a diverse set of viewpoints?
Well, I'll be frank about it. Since September 1st up to the present, I've knocked on 850 doors, okay? And I've gotten some perspectives from across the board, and people that have comments and people who have questions, you know, about Flock, the water bill, and other stuff. We've talked about it, and I've learned so much, you know, by being out on the street, you know, putting my boots to the ground, you know, that's invaluable. So I hope I answered your question, because the people that I'm doorbelling, it doesn't tell me if they're Republican, Independent, like Libertarian, or Democrat. It doesn't tell me that. I just knock on the door. I don't care what's on the sign outside. I don't care what flag they're flagging. I still knock on the door. And at the end of the day, when I leave, everybody has shaken my hand and said thank you.
I didn't count. I don't know if it's 850. I've been knocking on a lot of doors though and getting opinions from people, and just making sure that I'm available and I listen and I want to know. Again, the comment earlier about taking a public vote and finding out what people actually feel about it, I think is a great way, because even 850, I mean, it's honestly an impressive number to go out and do already, but like, that's still a small fraction of the voting community here. I would say from my standpoint, in looking at City Hall, in the City Council, there was a question earlier about endorsements, and I haven't been endorsed by anybody on the City Council, and I have not sought any endorsement from anybody on the City Council, because I wanted to bring an outside perspective and somebody that had a different group and a different network and a different way to get people involved with a different set of people. And I think so broadening the range of people that we can ask that question and bring a different network into it, I think would help.
Thank you. The last question of this section is to Maggie Fimia.
My question is about code enforcement in the city. It seemed, and I'm a relative newcomer to Mountlake Terrace, and we're enjoying it very much, but it seems like the households either have a really well-maintained yard and home, or it's really bad. And I think it affects property values for all of us. So my question is, I understand we only have one code enforcement officer. I think we probably need more and more education, and I'd like your opinion on those.
From a code enforcement standpoint, I think a couple things here. One, the fiscal sustainability task force, and I think in the context of the budget, we would need to figure out whether or not it makes sense financially to hire additional code enforcement officers. I mean, if it's going to bring in an extra $20 a year, but we're spending $100,000 for somebody, that doesn't make sense. So it needs to be looked at, like, what exactly are we getting out of it from that standpoint. The other thing I would think, the education piece, is from a code standpoint, it's often very, very difficult to understand what you should be doing with your yard. Am I allowed to move an outlet inside my house? Do I have to mow the lawn? Can I have a car on an empty lot? Those type of things. And I would like to see it be a little bit easier. Coming from a tech background, I guess I would love to see some sort of generative AI within the website that we have on Mountlake Terrace so that we could ask general questions. What can be done here? Is this allowed? Is this not allowed? And then people can have a better idea of the type of codes that are being violated next door. Maybe they can call in, or just whether or not you should be doing something with your own property.
You know, and I agree with that. And I think to add to that, our communications manager probably needs to, or can help this situation by sending out, information using her platform, whatever ones that she has, just to get people to that point to ask. I've had people who have done things in my own neighborhood and they didn't ask, and then they got the red tag because they didn't ask, and they know that they did it wrong, and now they got to undo it. And we only have that one code officer that I believe in, and it takes forever for that process to take place. So we really have to be able to communicate that. For instance, I think the rat thing in the city has been going on and on and on, and our city manager sent out a detailed, of what attracts rodents, and we need to get that information out so that we can share it. That's just one thing, the one way to be able to find the information, then get the information out to the public and encourage them. Don't punish them, but get them to, encourage them to come and ask and say, I made this mistake, I got this going on, help me fix it. All right.
All right, we are now to the closing statements portion, and you each have 30 seconds, so it's quick. And we will start with Mr. Page. I should have just let you keep the microphone.
No, I shouldn't. All right. Real simple. I think the next 4 years in Mountlake Terrace is going to be wonderful and exciting. I want to be a part of that. I'm a part of it right now. If you vote for me, or if you tell your friends to get out there and vote for me, I will continue to be able to do what I started, in April of 2020 when we started helping the city and doing things for the city. So that's my closing comments. Thank you for being here, Danny. Thank you for this discourse, and thank you for having us.
Mountlake Terrace is a great place. I live here. I love living here. It's a very bright future. The light rail is here. There's a whole lot happening, and I would love to be part of this solution going forward. I'm not here to fill an empty seat. I'm here to contribute. I want to listen, and I want to be part of any solution going forward. There's a thing that I always say at work when people come to me and bring problems to me. I listen, I try to understand where they're coming from, and then usually my response is, well, that's fair, but what are you going to do about it? And I think my campaign here and me stepping in and trying for the city council is my answer to my own question. This is what I want to do about it, and I want to be part of this going forward. So thank you. And thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you. You good? Yes. All right, very good. Thank you. Council Position 4, we've got Kyoko Matsumoto Wright and Steve Mosman, and Ms. Wright, we're going to start with you. 1 minute opening statement. Can you get the microphone?
Well, thank you all for coming over tonight. And I just wanted to say that, yes, I have been on the council for a while, but then it takes a while to get some of these things going. You get some of the things that I started on the Planning Commission so many years ago is now coming to fruition. And we're still working on a lot of these things. And I just want to say that I am a 40-plus year resident of Mountlake Terrace. My son was born here and went to Mountlake Terrace High School and graduated from there. And I just love the history of Mountlake Terrace. I listened to Pat McMahon, the person who founded the city, for many, many hours. I'm almost like a historian for the city, and I would like to, and I'm going to be talking to Randy Gravel, who wrote the book, pretty soon. And I have many endorsements, which I would probably list later, but we're working on a lot of things in the city, and I am running again because I want to get some of these to fruition. Thank you.
Well, hi, I'm Steve Mossman.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you corrected me.
No, that's fine. I get it all the time. So I've been a current resident in Mountlake Terrace for the last 9 years. However, my first introduction to Mountlake Terrace was over 40 years ago. We were involved, my first wife and I were involved in the church here, got married here, raised our kids here for a few years. We were very involved in this community. Taught my kids how to swim at the pavilion. Sad to see it falling into disrepair at this time. But I've wanted to give back after my retirement, and this is the way I found to be involved, we moved back here and wanted to keep Mountlake Terrace. And I just wanted to see it continue to be the town that people wanted to live in, and want to see the state stay out of our business. And that's what I've been seeing here lately, not just in Mountlake Terrace, but throughout the county. And to me, it was just time to push back a little bit on the state and just say, hey, let us be a city. We know what we need. We want to see it stay like it is.
Thanks. Well, you must have been looking at my notes because this goes right into my first question. One of the things that actually there's been some discussion about recently that I've seen has been maintaining the character of Mountlake Terrace as it grows. And we're going to start with that 30-second short answer, followed by a discussion, which I hope will be involving the two of you with each other as well as talking to me. Describe what you think the character of Mountlake Terrace is in 30 seconds. And then we'll talk more about some of the ways to preserve it.
Well, the character of Mountlake Terrace is changing. And whether or not we want it to change or not, it is changing. Light rail is here. We need to make decisions about density around light rail. Many of the businesses have left. Many of them had burnt down. And we need to have more and different businesses coming into the city. We need to attract them. How do we attract them? And how do we get the population that we need?
Thank you.
We can continue on that.
Yeah, we will in a moment.
Friendly is the first word that comes to my mind. People here enjoy community. You see that at the Wag the Dog a couple weeks ago, where people engage in the community and they want to associate with other people. And I see that slipping away a little bit with the increase in population that is a mandate from the state. We're not keeping that friendliness anymore.
Okay. Good thoughts. And I'm going to give this back to you so I can just speak loudly. So let's talk a little bit more about, you mentioned the character changing and that there are a lot of realities that are not the way they were before. And I remember some things that I saw you write about, Steve, which were kind of like, but you know, there are values that we had that we appreciate as a community that we want to preserve. How do you make those two come together? I'd like to talk more about that.
Okay, so we're changing in our city, and that's physical changes, larger buildings, more density, but the people are not changing. The people are just friendly people that love living here for whatever reason they moved here for. More than 50% of the city now are people who have moved here recently. And they moved here because of the changes that we're having to do in the city. And some of that is the density, some of that is light rail, the convenience of getting into Seattle for just 30 minutes to the airport. We're changing, but I don't see the people changing. The people are still the friendly people that I've known for the past 40 years. And I really want that to stay.
You have some thoughts on that?
The problem that I'm seeing happening is not just isolated to Mountlake Terrace. To me, it's the entire South County area and somewhat North County and King County. In that what we have is this issue that started a couple of decades ago with localizing the growth of all of our communities, rather than letting the communities decide what they want to see in our community, how they want to see our communities grow. It's all of a sudden become this state mandate. And when we have that happen, we have a group of people in Olympia who say, oh, we need to have that. We need to have this. Not coming to us and saying, what do you want as a community? I'm not against growth, but what I am against is forced growth that completely changes the attitude of not only Mountlake Terrace, but Edmonds, Linwood, Briar, Shoreline. And we're seeing a rush to mega city status in the South County. And we are going to be overtaxing our infrastructure. We talk about our degenerating water systems, our sewer systems. It's a place where if we are not careful, we're going to have to be spending not just millions, but billions of dollars to accommodate a growth that I don't see Mountlake Terrace itself having the room for the additional 20,000 people that they're expecting here by 2044. It's not here.
I'm certain she has some thoughts about that.
Yes, that is going to happen whether or not we do nothing or help get it to happen. And so we're going to be growing quite a bit in the next 10, 20 years. And I would like for us to plan the growth here so that it doesn't just, because if we don't plan it and they just come, the builders are going to be building whatever they want to build without anything for architectural standards, building. Remember the blob in downtown Seattle on Mercer, at the bottom of Mercer? I was afraid that something like that might come in because if you have no architectural standards, they'll put that in. And I'm really proud that when you're going up the freeway and you see these buildings coming up along the freeway, along light rail, and all of a sudden you get to Mountlake Terrace and we have a little bit of a better looking building than some of the others.
Is that really 4 minutes? Wow. Okay. On to the next. Again, this will be a 30-second quick answer, and then we'll move into more discussion. And I will start with Mr. Mossman on this next answer. List the top 3 steps you think Mountlake Terrace should take to be more friendly to those wanting to establish a business here.
I wish I had real concise answers for that. I don't want to say tax incentives, but that is probably the biggest one that would draw in a startup business tax incentive. Easier building plans. I've been in construction most of my life, and having seen difficulty in getting permits and getting your businesses up and running can take sometimes years. And I think those types of things need to be streamlined. I didn't get to 3, but that's...
Well, we are trying to become more business friendly, and we are trying to, and we're trying. All the cities are trying. We're hoping to get, I've been working on a lot of...
Three ideas first.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute.
All right, the 3 ideas is to make it easier for people to come here, to have the facilities here. We don't have anything even built. People here want a supermarket. We have nothing here to offer the people who want to open a supermarket here.
I guess we'll get to that. Well, keep the mic. So let's talk more about that. You each had things you wanted to finish. Why don't we go back over to you and
go
finish
ahead.
your...
Go.
Oh, okay. I love this. Very accommodating. So you finish your thought and then you can pass it on to him. Thank you.
So we really need to start getting the buildings that will accommodate retail built. And in Mountlake Terrace, in order for someone to put together a building lot, you have to go to approximately 8 to 18 different homeowners to assemble that block. And that is a lot of work. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it also takes time. So we really need to figure out a way to make it easier for that to happen. I don't know what the city can do, but we finally hired an economic development person, they can work on getting businesses to town, but then where are they going to put their businesses? So we really have to start getting some plans together. We have 2 buildings coming up where the retail space is 5,000 square feet in the whole building. That is not enough. And I'm not happy about some of the buildings that are coming in. People think that I love all the stuff that's happening. No, there are some buildings here that I wish we was different. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with you on that whole concept in having the facilities available. How you do that, quite frankly, I wish I had the magic wand to make that happen. I think the bigger issue is going to be letting them know, getting them involved in the community, the new businesses, reaching out to the development crews, the investors who want to make Mountlake Terrace an important part of their portfolio is going to be a bigger key to this issue than anything else. Other than that, I really would just like to see an atmosphere of working with the city. You know, too often I've seen that in the construction field where the city almost becomes the adversary of the builders, the developers, the investors. So I want to make sure that Mountlake Terrace as a city is open to working with these 3 entities. And that's going to inspire a lot of this development to come in.
All right, we're going to get to our last question. I was just checking the time. We have about 15 minutes till we have to be out of here. So I'm going to combine the 30-second and the full 4 minutes into one probably shorter segment so we can get this in and have time for a few more questions. Could each of you, and we'll start with Councilmember Wright on this one, each of you describe, if you were going to talk about what your #1 public safety concern in Mountlake Terrace is, what would that be?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, thank you.
For the whole thing?
Yeah, we'll have a discussion, but why don't you just say, and then he'll say, and then we'll just get right into it.
Okay.
But we'll have 4 minutes complete without.
Okay.
Right.
The #1 public safety?
Yeah, yes.
Well, we were completely staffed at the police department, but then people move. And so I would like to see a police department that is always staffed to its fullest, and have the training that they need to have happen a little faster. And it will happen faster now that the facilities for training are closer. And our fire department, we're just doing well with fire. There's just a lot of things with safety. It's people are looking out for each other. I see it on social media a lot. There's just, to be honest, I think we're a pretty safe city. So we
Okay.
Having seen the traffic proposal that was put forward here a couple of months ago, I think one of the things that I would really strongly work towards a little bit quicker is going to be some traffic control issues we have. I mean, we have basically 4 main corridors that are becoming slightly to majorly dangerous. And we have some intersections that are very, very dangerous. The one 44th and 212th in particular. A couple of the intersections coming off the freeway, 220th and 62nd. We need to start developing our traffic plan now rather than later, because with increased traffic that we have, through traffic, localized traffic, we need to have a better control on what's going on our streets. I know that there is a lot of good plans already in the mix here, but we need to move on those quickly. And I agree with Council or Mayor that our police force has to be top notch. We cannot just go with you know, oh, somebody left, well, we'll see about getting a replacement. No, they need to be replaced now. You know, you can't have one or two police officers taking care of the city. It's got to be a unified force with direction and good.
Okay, did you have anything you wanted to add? And we'll go to Q&A as soon as you.
Okay. We do have some problems with some of our intersections, and one of the first things that I learned on the council was that the intersections are rated A, B, C, D, F. And we had several that was F. And we've been working on those, but again, it takes money. It takes financing to fix a few. There are places that we put four-way stops in, but we need a light, or we need a traffic circle, or we need something. But again, it just takes money. And then we need to, I wanted to cover the Main Street, because some people are talking about that, but that also, that was a grant that we were hoping to get for $23 million to get that finished, and we couldn't get it. So we've been pursuing a lot of these things. It just, if it all happened, if we got all the grants that we went after and all the things at the time that we wanted it, we would have gotten a lot of these things accomplished with the money that we would have asked for back then. But now the prices have doubled, tripled, and we're still trying.
Thank you for bringing that Main Street issue up. I know it's one people care about. So if we go to Q&A now, Molly, there was, Sophia, do you want to ask your question now?
Last chance.
We're almost done.
Thank you.
I'm a little nervous about this question, but
Okay, I'm sorry if everyone's already tired of this subject. I feel like since it's not mentioned yet, I would ask again. So what are your opinions on block? Do you support our installing it or not? And why or why not? Just in general. Thank you.
In 1 minute.
well, yes, I was in favor of lock, or am in favor of lock. The one thing that I would interject in this is that I can imagine anyone in this room who was facing a situation where they were a victim of crime, small, medium, or severe, would not want our police force to have every tool available at their disposal to catch the perpetrators and solve their crime and bring justice.
Well, I don't know, with all that's going on right now, where I stand, but I still know that I talk to all these people, and I'm continuing to talk to people, and you would think that I would be running into people who are adamantly against it, and I've only run against one so far. And I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been talking to a lot of people from the left and to the right. I don't ask them what they are before I ask them the question.
Okay, thank you. All right, Brad E. Oh, we're almost done. Yes, we have to add.
Thank you. Mr. Mossman, earlier in your statement, you're talking about the city changing and our being able to afford the infrastructure investments and everything like this for the increased density. And I just wanted to kind of push back on that narrative a little bit and say that density increases our tax base. It brings increased business in, increased revenue. Additionally, the utilities are cheaper for mixed use, multifamily versus single family housing. So I was wondering if you had, thank you. I was wondering if you had anything to elaborate on that, because I cannot understand the point you're making.
Not an expert on this, but I have talked with a gentleman who has been dealing with a lot of this very issue of affordable housing, density, poverty, the whole thing. And contrary as it may sound, when we see higher density cities. Crime rates are higher. Infrastructure costs and usage and wear and tear are higher. Maintenance costs go up. It's not just saying we're going to spread out the cost over a few people. The increase in these is exponential. It's not just, oh, it's going to be just a little bit more, but we got a lot more people to cover it. No, actually it's the opposite. And this has been proven over and over again throughout the country. The higher the density of the city, the more cost per capita goes up. That's just the numbers that are out there.
Did you have anything you wanted to say in response to that?
Well, I just want to say that the, just lost my train of thought.
Happens to me all the time.
The density, even though there's the density, I'm just trying to get my train of thought because I had it right there, the tip of my tongue.
It's okay.
Well, let's get back to it.
Okay, all right. We have one more question left, and that is from Will Chen. Is Will still here? And I'm not going to say you're from Edmonds.
We're done. We're done.
Yeah, I'm from Edmonds, but living right across the lake. So my question is, to both of the candidates, what's your plan to share the regional assets like Ballinger?
Well, as far as I've seen, I haven't seen any gates that you have to go through to get to Lake Ballinger, to the lake, or to the, any of the facilities to enjoy them. So I can't imagine why we wouldn't be willing to share it with the community or with the region. I think Lake Ballinger is one of the jewels. Yeah, but one of the jewels we have is Lake Ballinger in this town. So, and I'm sure that the city council would agree that we want to share it with the surrounding communities. Just kind of backtrack a little bit. For those of you who don't know, Mountlake Terrace, as far as density, is rated, if not first, at least second, or in the top 5 already in the state. One of the densest cities in the state. So it's not like we don't have our fair share of people here.
So back to the question about, well, Will, you just have to walk a few more feet over the there is a gate. And some of the improvements that we're doing in the city, the money is coming from your city. So we're sharing. Many of the people who use the park are from Edmonds because half of the lake is Edmonds. And so they just walk over and they walk their dogs. They do a lot of things in the city and we welcome them.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much. And I was the city council member in Edmonds to champion the fund to help out with the developments.
Thank you.
We're done. Thank you so much for participating. Thanks for, closing statements. My goodness, will they let us stay one more minute? Try it. Well, good.
Well, they don't actually lock the doors till 8 o'clock, so you get a little bit of grace.
I'm glad you know that.
Well, I thank you for being here tonight. I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but I enjoy Mountlake Terrace and in retirement, and I think this is a great city, and I just want to keep this a great city. But thank you, and hope to have your votes.
Yes, thank you all for coming tonight. And this is a great place to live, and I've lived here for over 40 years, and I want to serve another 4 more years because there's a lot of things that are still that we need to do. We need to finish up. And much of that is our downtown center. Somebody said earlier about where's our downtown? Why can't we have the walkability that Edmonds has? Well, we've been working on that. We've been working on that this whole time. It just takes time and money. So if you can help us with that, we'll get our downtown a little bit faster. Thank you very much.
Thanks to both of you. Have a good night.